I'm such a geek when it comes to like kinesiology and physiology and anatomy and all these kinds of things. So for me, like the brain has sort of centered on a lot. So I love to be able to bring in psychoeducation about the brain and how everything works in terms of the nervous system and how that all influences each other. And I love to teach people how things work in such a simplistic manner that even though, yes, it's very complicated, but when you can break it down and they can have a really strong understanding of why we would ask them to do certain tools, and how the physical body gets involved there, whether that's with exercise or whether that's with breathing strategies or whether that's with soothing the nervous system to help you get to the next step. It's all so integrated. And so I really, really, really love having a background in kinesiology. It also helps me relate to a lot of people on a whole other dimension, I think. But and that being said, it also has really maximized my understanding of the neurobiology and the things that are taking place in our brain. And I like to bring that in as part of the experience. I'm not going to sit there and like pump papers at people and say, you need to understand this, but I do like to help them feel like they are walking away with a level of knowledge that they didn't have about their physical being as they go. And it just helps to really reinforce why some of the strategies are there. So the intention behind a lot of the tools, if we don't know why we're doing it, usually we miss the mark. So like breathing, for example, if we're breathing and we don't know why we're breathing or what the intention is behind it, it's not necessarily going to work because your brain's off over here thinking about the thing that you're trying to de-stress from, and you're perpetuating the problem. And then breathing therefore becomes obsolete or it doesn't work, when in fact it would if you were able to learn and harness the tool the right way. So that's really a lot of where like the kinesiology stuff comes from, but also in many other facets. And then has also led me sort of more down like the EMDR path. And I love working with EMDR and trauma processing, and not even trauma processing, but how can that be applied to so many other aspects of a person's life, whether it's anxiety, depression, self-worth conditions, just other experiences in life that are sort of like getting in the way in terms of belief systems. And then as well as that is sort of like eventually developing into like neurofeedback and things like that. So being able to tie everything together, connecting sort of the physical body and then the body, mind, and soul connection is just really, it's all relevant. You can't really pull it apart. The body it absorbs trauma, it holds trauma. We can take a picture of trauma in a brain. We can see it show up, whether that's manifesting in physical ailments or in emotional ailment or emotional pain, reactionary experiences, so anxiety or panic attacks, which are, I would say, probably more of the reason why people recognize trauma to be, but it can show up in so many ways and it manifests in our physical body everywhere. And so the coolest thing is to be walking through trauma processing with people and helping them connect with their different emotions and actually feel safe to sit and feel and experience those emotions and understand why they're there, and allowing them to move forward and let them go. So a lot of that sort of like integrates that somatic experiencing, so finding where things are sort of like lodged in the body as you're processing various pieces of your experience. And a lot of the times being surprised at like what does come up and what is actually sitting in there that maybe people oftentimes always say, oh, that doesn't bother me anymore. But then it shows up every single time. And so it's interesting. And the knowledge that comes from all of that and where we lock things into our physical body and how we process it out. And the best part, I think, for me is that in using, whether it's integrating EMDR or we're using other skills to sort of prepare them to get to that place in their journey, is that they're learning in every step of the way how to do that independently. So we're learning on how to sit with an emotion. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do you experience it? Where is it? What does it mean to you in that? And as they sit with it and as they get comfortable with it, it no longer bears such a scary experience, and we change that narrative around and we turn it into something that's useful until it no longer serves as this negative point of attention. Physical pain starts to shift, physical and emotional pain starts to shift, the meaning of things start to shift, and people transition so nicely into the thing that they want to experience, or they look back and they see things so differently and clearly, and they can move along with their life or integrate that knowledge and experience into something that is so much more useful for them in their current experience. But it definitely is, it shows up in so many ways, and I don't think that it's never the same for any two people, and their processing is never the same either.